This episode of Off My Shelf contains coarse language and adult conversation. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, my name is Tracy James and welcome to Off My Shelf, a podcast about movies that are, well, off my shelf, where we go through my DVDs and talk about the movies in my collection. In this episode, Mike Suderman returns to talk more sci-fi with me as we review the Alien Quadrilogy. Welcome.
Hi.
It's been a while.
It has been. Yeah, you've had a bunch of episodes that have been great. There's been some singing.
There has been some singing.
There's all sorts of great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you've been listening, and then you decided to actually come back and be like, this is some good stuff.
Well, you know, I felt like I got the show off on the right foot. Mm-hmm. And then for the first 4-movie episode, I figured, well, who else is going to handle it?
Especially since it's sci-fi. I know you're gonna get into it, so it had to be. Yes, yeah. You were a good choice. It must have been. Yes.
I appreciate you understanding it.
Well, the Alien Quadrilogy is the first 4 movies in the Alien universe. Alien, Aliens, Alien 3 or Cubed, depending on which way you want to look at how it is, in Alien Resurrection.
Alien: Resurrection, I think.
Yes, yeah. Alien: Resurrection. That is correct. And, the movies span, from 1979 to...
97.
97. That's a long time period. But, I mean, Star Wars have been going on for how long? So, who knows?
Star Wars fits and starts, though, right? It's like
that's
6 years or 5 years or something, and then, they go dark for...
20 years.
Yeah.
Then they come back for a little while, and then they just go crazy, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one of those, sci-fi series that, people love. It's good. It's being destroyed right now, but, with Star Wars, it happens. Maybe they'll have another reboot, and then it'll be good again.
Tell me what you really think.
But I think the best way to go through this, I guess, is in chronological order.
Yeah.
Because this is a very complex, thick, and heavy universe. Not unlike, I should say, the alien goo that they like to leave everywhere. So
are you saying it's a viscous series?
It is so viscous. It really disturbs me.
Word.
It just really disturbs me how everybody comes across the goo, and instead of just sticking a finger in it, they always have to stick their whole hand and just go through their whole finger so you see it web, and then they're just like, ew, this is disgusting. What is wrong with you? Ugh.
I in my head canon, it's some sort of alien pheromone that causes them not only to do that, but just to stop where there's clearly been aliens very recently, and they're this seems like a good place to just stop and stare at the ground for a little while.
And not pay attention to your surroundings and hang out.
Maybe it's a little bit like toxoplasmosis that cats give, where it makes... it's like a parasite that makes mice less afraid of cats, so that they'll...
Oh, I've heard of that!
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember what it's called like you do, but good for you.
I only remember it because it's from Trainspotting, and some guy dies of it.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
I don't. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess I have to rewatch Trainspotting just for that.
When you hit the T's on the series, call me back.
It's going to be a little while for now. You're going to have to wait a bit.
You got to pick up the pace.
That's true. Oh my god. Okay, we're going to do 12 movies a week.
Good.
Okay? We're going to make this happen.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with 1979's Alien, of course, directed by Ridley Scott. And we get introduced to our heroine, Sigourney Weaver and Ripley, It's amazing.
She's so great.
She is. One thing I like to say about the first 2 movies is they are masterclasses on how to make a good sci-fi film in 2 very different ways.
Yeah. And
when you watch the first Alien movie, I was like, no, this should be fine. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm going to throw an alien. I'm all good. It's an old movie. Whatevs. And then I didn't sleep for the next day. It's fine. It's completely fine. But that's because this movie is so good at creating, atmosphere and just that heavy tension throughout the whole thing. from the use of, especially like their sound and the quiet and just the general environment and how people move.
Oh yeah.
I found like I still find it almost oppressive in a way when you're watching.
Yeah. It's weird because like one just about going back to the sci-fi thing about like how to make a good sci-fi movie.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of world building that happens in the first like 10 minutes is without like some annoying info dump or like it's something really expository is just like they wake up from cryosleep. They're like eating crappy cereal in space.
Yeah.
We know they're in this spaceship, but they're talking about like the bonus situation, and they're just talking about the things that they're talking about clearly indicate that this is not Star Trek. This is not like a ship at sea with a master and commander. These are like people who are answerable to some distant corporation, and they're all just grunts doing their job, which
like,
is amazing.
But
like it's all communicated without being like a lot of like you get so much about the world and the characters just organically.
Well, yeah, because there's no hand holding for the audience in this movie. Like they're not taking you through like this is this, and that's who these people are, and this. There's no hand holding. It's the story is told completely visually, and if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't. But at some point in time, even if you don't get it at the beginning, all you really need to know is people on a spaceship and then aliens show up.
Yeah.
If you get those 3 points, you're good to go.
Right.
And that's what's great about this movie, where I've probably seen this movie quite a few times in my life, and every single time I watch it, it's like watching it again. Like for the first time, and that's what I love about it. I really did like it.
Yeah. No, it's just enjoyable. Like my notes peter out about halfway through because I'm just like, I'm just watching the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like too absorbed into it.
Yeah.
But like there's so much there, right? Like I'm gonna talk like you mentioned the oppressiveness of the environment, and it's great because like this is a spaceship that is both really spacious in a lot of ways, like there's huge ducts and things, but also like really cramped in other places, and so they set that up very early when there's just like stuff breaking and the mechanics set like all the coolant valves spraying everywhere, and they're like, the ship's broken forever unless you give us maybe we should talk about our bonus situation again.
And she just walks it. She's like, no, okay, fine, just fix it.
And then it's just like the atmosphere of the lived-in grimy spaceship is so good, and we get so much of who the characters are just in terms of how they're interacting with each other, where like Ripley, we're introduced to her as the third officer and of 7 people, so it's like she doesn't have that like gritty charm of like just the working people, and that like I know they're not really military, but like kind of the enlisted men versus the officers. But then also she's like the lowest rank of the officers, so she has to she's taking shit from both directions. Is what I'm saying.
She's middle management.
Yeah. And like there's just a weariness about her that she's just like, I gotta deal with this too. Like,
well, she's not, but that's the thing. She is not like, she's not mean, but she isn't particularly nice either, you know? And she's clearly trying to be in this very middle ground where you're like, I'm going to be pleasant to everybody, but I'm not anybody's friend.
Right.
So the whole time it's like, you're not rooting for her. You don't think she's going to do anything interesting. Like you meet the captain and he's chill, he's pretty relaxed, he's like whatever. Then you meet the grunts, the guys that are the engineers, and they're just all grimy and they just talk whatever they feel like saying.
Yeah.
And then you've got like, the doctor who's or the
Ash.
Science officer Ash, who is who's just completely uptight.
Spoiler.
And then there's the other two who's just kind of there. They don't really do anything, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's true, like within like the dynamic of the people on the vessel is very familiar and specific, but in just this strange environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard that as advice for storytelling in genres, like genre films, but also like all over the place. Where if you have one kind of out there idea that's the focus of the story, you want to make the other areas more familiar to the audience. So you don't you like we have this we're about to embark on this crazy alien adventure where like this monster that's never been seen before on screen is about to like terrorize people, and it's got this bizarre life cycle. Like that's the thing that you want to spend all your exposition budget with your like audience's patience on, instead of like, oh, and also there's like a weird hierarchy in the future, and also there's I have some notes about Alien 3. That's what I'm saying. But
Okay.
But like that's why like these are kind of very arch kind of people. They get more nuanced as the movie goes. Some of them do.
Yes.
But very quickly we're like, this is the loudmouth engineer. Oh, this is the like kind of cowboyish captain. This is the cold calculating science officer. We know these people right away, and so we don't have to spend a lot of time learning those bits of the world,
like figuring them out.
Yeah. Like why not use people that people are going to recognize so that you can focus on the really interesting.
Yeah, and they do it so systematically that you don't even realize you understand the characters completely or their environment until, the scary stuff happens. Because when you're introduced into the film, they are in cryostasis, right? And they're asleep. The ship is quiet, and then it starts to come to life. It's waking them up. And it's lots of shots of just kind of like, vessel sounds, and it's just empty corridors being lit up. And there's absolutely nothing scary about it, right? You're just like, oh, this is an interesting space, and that's an interesting space, and what's over here? And, it's just showing you the ship, right? But then there's a complete juxtaposition to by the end of the movie where those quiet spaces that are lit exactly the same way are now these terrifying places to be, especially if you're by yourself, or especially if they're empty. You're just like, I don't think I want to go down there. All the lights are on, everything's there, but you are just like, no, that is not a place to be. And I like how they managed to balance that feeling without really doing anything, if you understand what I mean. It's literally just a balance of showing the spaces before and after the alien is introduced. Yeah,
they're doing a lot with the set. They're doing a lot with the photography, and they're doing a lot with the direction, but they're doing very little with the like script. When they talk, there's a lot of talking, but there's long stretches of pretty much silence. It's just atmosphere. It's the ship. And they do a lot of scenes, what I thought was really interesting, where they're out searching the ship, for example. They're walking around and you can hear them talking, but the camera's not on them. You can't see them. They're in other spaces somewhere. So it's like you're the alien figuring them out. Okay. Compared to you are part of their group looking for the alien. Right. So you get like a different perspective of it, and I think that also helped a lot. Yeah. So all that about the exposition and the establishing shots of the ship, the actual reveal of the alien ship is so fantastic. Is obviously amazing. Like the incredible spacesuits that are just like super cool. I love the costume design of them, where they're just like, they feel clunky but also like highly functional, and they're just like not pretty in any way.
They really do just look like everything on that suit serves a purpose. It's not supposed to be pretty. You're not supposed to do like a runway in it. You're just supposed to go out, get a little gritty in space, go back home. Get to go.
And it just matches the ship with its like, we didn't really care as long as it kind of held together. And then like like there's some handheld shots while they're like stumbling over the rocks to the signal.
Are those the shots that are like from inside the people?
Yeah, I think
like,
so. Yeah. And so you just like there's like claustrophobia there, and like the oppression you're talking about, like very much so there. And then it zooms out, or I don't think there's a zoom. It reveals the giant curved ship and this crazy thing.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing to see, and like you say, none of it's explained. So you it's just this utterly, truly alien thing with this crazy German genius that designed this.
Yeah.
Like,
one of the things I really liked about it too was the fact that a lot of these effects, like even like the long shots and all that kind of stuff, have aged so well in this movie. Like that long shot should have looked like, you know, like a background painting kind of thing that they used to do and everything, but it didn't. It actually like still looked like they were there and in the thing, and it didn't look perfect. I get it, but you still got that proper feeling.
Yeah. My there's a couple of things that I didn't think aged quite as well. Like the thing, one of the things that always gets me is after the chest burst happens, and then the like baby alien scuttles away, and it's like just sliding along the ground without really moving.
Yeah,
it's just super like awkward, and I mean, whatever. It's like at that point you're just like, oh my god, something busted out of the guy's chest, which is incredible.
I mean, that is the thing is that is such a climactic moment, and the fact that one effect is pretty much the effect that has aged the worst.
Yeah.
Like, it's a practical effect, and just the angles are wrong. Like, you can actually, like, when it bursts out and he slides across the table, you can actually see the thing coming out of the table under the thing, moving across and stuff, and you're just like, oh, you ruined it a little bit.
But what's great is that the actors sell it, because
they sell it.
Apparently, at least, what's her name? The other female character.
If I had her name written down, I would have.
Nah, sorry. Anyway, the actress who plays her apparently like passed out and like injured her head when that happened.
Navigator
allegedly.
Lambert.
Yes, Lambert. Is a like, because I guess they didn't do a trial run of the effect, so when they did it, people knew it was coming, but they didn't know what exactly was going to happen. And
it was a pretty like real
visceral
reaction.
Yeah.
So that
okay.
that does explain a lot of that scene then, because there is a lot of just kind of proper frantic, panicky behavior, because there's a lot of like, what is going on? What do I do? Like, because if you watch the people around them, it just kind of looks like they're like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So I mean that makes a lot of sense now. I just thought it was like, oh, they're really good actors. Like, no, they were legitimately like, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
So that works.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to skip over the fact that I can't believe, like, every time I watch the movie, I am more outraged that they break quarantine. Like, the first time I watched it, I was like, it's a sci-fi horror movie. Of course, they just, like, da-da-da. And every time I'm like, no, listen to Ripley. She's the only one who makes sense.
But the thing is, you know why they break... Like, you find out later in the movie, because Ash is actually an android who's under instructions.
Well, okay, here's the thing, though. It's because it's not just Ash. It's Dallas. Dallas should have known better.
Yes.
The guy, like everybody should have known better. Ash is the one, you're right, who pulls the thing. But I mean, we can go, let's maybe sidestep the rabbit hole about how this entire movie is about a woman trying to like explain to men that there is danger and that she should be listened to, and they constantly shut her down.
Yes.
Like that is basically
the
like
movie.
The thing, but like that particular scene, and that's why, like, it's, for me, it's important that it's not just Ash. It's like, it's Dallas. It's everybody on that ship
is yelling at her to just open the door, and she's
and
I love the fact that she actually keeps her calm the whole time. She's
so
like,
good. Instead
of yelling at them, you listen to me. No, she's like, no, you don't understand. That is a parasite. we need to like do quarantine. You can affect the whole ship and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
They're screaming and yelling at her. Just
Yeah.
open the door. And you have to realize protocol and blah. And she kept her calm the whole time.
Yep.
And then Ash opens the door, and I'm just like, no.
But like she keeps her calm, like even further. I would say that like you can like look at that scene with the quarantine and the opening as like the complete opposite of the final scene where she's in the shuttle and the alien's there and she can see it, and it's like in the quarantine scene where everybody's trying to get him in, everybody's shouting, and she's the only one who stays calm and is like, no, there's a procedure, we follow the procedure, and that's it. Skip to the end, she notices, like, she sees that the alien's there, and she's able to so calmly, and like that oppression that you talk about is like, it's the climax of the movie. It's like, pressed against your face at that point, the oppression. But she's like calmly suits up, calmly activates the airlock. Like it's just like if she was somebody who was gonna panic or wasn't gonna follow procedure or
like
whatever,
Lambert.
Yeah,
sadly.
like
I
anybody.
felt bad about her. Yeah.
Oh, like anybody would have just immediately fallen to pieces there.
Yeah.
And it's like it's that more than her badassery that saves her in this movie. It's her like
and that's the thing with the movie. There's a lot of like screaming and throwing things at the alien and the trying to shoot and stuff. And she's like, no, we need a plan. We need to figure out how to do this. Let's do this thing. And then finally, when there's only two other people left, they listen to her. They got killed, sadly, but they finally listened to her. It was a good plan, but like it took that amount of time. Like it took 4 people dying for anybody to listen to her.
Yeah, so specifically it takes Dallas dying, which is her superior officer. Yeah. And so once he dies, she's like, I'm in charge now.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like both procedural and also required for the story.
Yeah.
Like so that's why one of the reasons why I think it works so well. Like I like that Ripley is like, listen, we need to I at least see in her that she's like wants to follow procedure as much as possible, because like the quarantine rules are there for a reason. Would have saved a lot of lives. A lot if you consider everybody who dies in all the other movies too.
That's true. That is very true.
But the fact that once she is like officially the ranking officer on the ship again, she is just like, this is what's gonna happen, Ash. I'm gonna override your access to Mother, and I'm gonna get my own answers, and like
yeah, and I mean, I guess that makes sense.
It makes sense to me for her in this movie. I don't think that carries through the rest of the other movies, but at least for this one, I like to believe that one of the things Ripley is like a steadfast believer in order.
She really is.
Yeah.
She is a person who knows what she's doing,
Mm-hmm.
wants people to listen to her so she can do what she needs to do, and people don't.
Yeah.
And like you see that through all of the movies, actually.
Oh yeah.
But also a majority of the people around her are men, and all of the men always think they know better than she does.
Yep.
And that's a frustrating thing. And then until like half of them die or whatever, nobody listens to her. And it's very, I mean, I guess as a woman, I'm used to it or something. I don't even know. But I mean, it's part of like the whole women's movement that's happening right now. Is that you're like, no, we know what we're doing. We can do the things if you just let us do it. Yeah. And people like, and men especially won't let that happen. Or certain men, I should say. Not all men. It's fine. Trying to be politically correct. But yeah, like it's like the whole time she just keeps like, she's like, no, if we do it this way, the guy's like, no, let's just go crazy. Like, yeah, they go crazy, but that didn't work. Then the next guy's like, no, let's just do this other crazy thing. They do that other crazy, it doesn't work. There's no other men. They're like, what do you want to do, Ripley? let's do the thing I said to do in the first place.
Yeah. Well, it's like, well, you didn't listen to me about the quarantine, but how about you make some flamethrowers?
Oh,
Actually,
it's so true.
Can't remember if that's her idea or not, but I'm going to choose to believe it is.
I'm choosing to believe it is as well. Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Flamethrowers are cool.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things in the movie that actually remind me of other movies.
Okay.
One of the things specifically I noticed in all of the Alien movies is they start pretty much the same way as all Star Wars movies, as in they're tracking a spaceship,
right,
like, under it and stuff. And I don't know why I've never realized that before, but I guess because I watch these back to back closer together than usual. And as soon as the first Alien movie started, and they do like the under tracking of their ship, the Nostromo,
right,
and they like stop on the engines at the back, and then they go into the ship, and it's just like, this is Star Wars. What's happening? Am I watching the right movie? There was also the fact that John Hurt. So the first movie we did was 1984.
Yeah. And
John Hurt's in this movie as well. This movie was only made 5 years before 1984, and he looks so much younger. I don't know if that's from like it was like makeup in 1984 or something, but he looks so much younger.
Well, like giving birth to an alien, it ages you, you know.
It is kind of stressful.
You get some stretch marks. You get like, you know, it really ravages the body. Is what I'm saying.
Oh God, yes. Oh, I know you tried to bring this up before, but H.R. Geiger.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was supposed to look up more information about him before we started recording this podcast, which I didn't. But I have seen a lot of his work, and I find it is very alien if you look at his work, but it's also very shiny and sweaty and moist.
Yep.
Put that, yeah. It's very weird, and like I kind of understand why they would have chosen him to design the aliens for this, because it is something that is very unworldly or unearthly, I should say. But at the same time, I always think, I'm like, but why? You know, like it works, but at the same time, my first thought, it wouldn't be his work if I'm like, let's create an alien, go to that guy.
Yeah, no, but it's so good. It's the reason why the movie or the creature has like become iconic. One of, like, there's iconic monsters, and it's a weird. I haven't done much research on H.R. Geiger either or anything like that, but like you say, the aliens, the alienness of all of his stuff, but also the specific design of the creature is very like. I know he was aiming for like a kind of Freudian issue where you've got this body horror story about enforced impregnation, which is a recurring theme in the series, and so this like just the shape of it, the like it's I mean like the head, the penetrative nature of its like
I mean, if you see
inner mouth, like,
any
all that stuff.
of his art, it is kind of, I'm gonna use the word pervy right now, because it is overly sexualized creepiness,
right?
You know, and I think that's what lends to the uncomfortable nature of the alien, or the xenomorph, whatever you like to call it, because it is that like weird, sleek, shiny thing that just comes at you in the dark.
Right.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. And I believe there was, I don't know why I was thinking about this, because this is one of the reasons why I was supposed to look it up before I started this podcast, but I remember there was some sort of controversy about him doing the art for the movie at some point in time or whatever.
Oh, really?
I could be making things up. It's totally possible, but I think it does have something to do with the kind of Freudian misogyny of his artwork at the time period. But I mean, it was the 70s. Like, that was like a very free love.
Oh, I don't even know. Like, I'm sure I don't know enough about his personal life or the rest of his art to necessarily put a misogynistic spin on it, but it is supposed to be that kind of primal terror of like you know, like the deep seated emotions around sex and fear and stuff like that all mixed
kind
up,
of.
and the idea that it's, you know, like, I mean, you can go down too many rabbit holes about the way in which, like, you can use the quarantine scene as where Ripley is arguing that something alien and evil shouldn't be entering the ship. You know, you can
you can
go
go all over
Freudian
the
all
place
that,
for that. Yeah,
but
yeah.
like more specifically is like it's a dude who is it's like a Rosemary's Baby thing a little bit, where like a dude is forcefully impregnated with the alien and has this terrible thing happen to him. People could talk to this better than I could, but like it's the story and the other ones, and like especially certain scenes in Resurrection are really into that, like the specific terror of having to carry something monstrous to term, or like something that's terrible for you to term, and being like shouting to the people around you to be like, no, stop this, and not being heard. And
and I think that's the thing that actually makes the face hugger scarier to me than the actual alien. Like, the alien just kills you, but I mean, people don't like spiders for a reason, right?
Yep.
This thing is a giant, it looks like, you know, when you're doing shadow puppets of like a bird, two hands together with a giant tail on it, crawling across the floor at you. That is terrifying to look at. Like, it is terrifying. Even when it's dead and they've got it flipped over and they're poking at it, it looks like bits of liver flipped on top of each other. Like, that thing is freaky. And I'm not saying the alien is, I'm gonna give it a hug when I see it or anything. I'm just thinking, like, from afar, if I was going to run from something, it's gonna be the face hugger, and the alien's gonna kill me anyways. So, what else?
There you go.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, that's one of my notes was that I'm like, no, I think the face hugger is actually creepier than the actual alien afterwards.
Well, so that's the other thing that I don't think really, especially in this movie, like, aged very well, is the dude in the alien suit. Like,
oh yes,
I have a note here which is just Dallas killed by alien jazz hands.
Well, yeah, because it's like the extending fingers coming at him.
Yeah, but it's kind of just like, man, you know.
Okay, yes, I will agree with you on that one. Yeah, for sure. Oh my god, yes.
Though I do really like it in the end scene where it's like they're in the shuttle and it's folded up in that like super
uncomfortable, like sideways, like, flattened kind of thing.
Bodies shouldn't fold that way, and so it just adds to its alienness.
Yeah, and it comes out like a cat stretching. It's just like, and like an arm comes out, and then another arm comes out, and then a leg comes out, and then it like comes out completely. Yeah. And it does have that kind of like, you know, like that kind of like feline movement that I thought was just like, you're too comfortable in your space. Like, no. Yeah. No. What else was there? A thing I found interesting is that they don't actually tell you. We know it's the future. Yep. It has to be the future based on our current technology, of course. But they never tell you when it happens. And one thing I found interesting based on the last podcast where we talked about Alien versus Predator is that when they're calling in and they think they're by Earth and they're trying to contact Earth, the actual traffic control place is in Antarctica, which I thought really interesting because that connects Antarctica to the Alien versus Predator movie. And then that also makes me think of, I mean, they probably weren't thinking this far into the future or anything. They weren't thinking about an Alien versus Predator movie. But at the same time, it makes me think, I'm like, well, where did, Wayland Yutani first find out about, like, the possibility of these aliens existing? Because they were just given instructions to go there and get the thing. They believe there's an alien there. They know they want it. Where does that idea come from?
That's a good question, and I don't think it's answered.
It's never answered.
At least not in the 4 movies. I'm sure that there's like comic books and novelizations that explain
Probably, yeah.
And maybe one of the... well, I guess that's what Ridley Scott's new series is about, right? Like the Prometheus and the other one? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because...
Let's go with that. It's giving us answers. No.
Yeah, answers to questions no one wanted. Answers no one wanted. Yeah, you know what I mean. I actually didn't notice a Weyland-Yutani thing in the first movie. I thought they just called it Company. Okay, yeah. Because I remember in Aliens seeing the logo for the first time, and I was like, oh right, I didn't see that at all in the first one.
Yeah, and I sat there paying attention.
Yeah,
they just call it the Company.
Yeah.
There's no logos in the spaceship or no logos in the spaceship or anything. And they just call it the Company the whole time. The first time I remember seeing a logo is when Paul Reiser leaves his business card for Ripley and puts it on a table. That's the first time I can recall seeing the actual logo. Yeah. And
there's also when they cut to the colony, before it goes all to hell, is that like there's crates and stuff are all they're stamped with it.
Oh wait, you watched the extended edition then?
I don't think so. Really? Yeah. Aliens?
Because in the second movie, you do not visit the colony until the people get there.
Oh!
Yeah,
okay.
You watch the extended edition.
There we go.
There you go.
No wonder it was 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
I will tell you, the other one, 3 felt longer. But
it really did.
Yeah.
Oh, that also reminds me then, since we're talking about Weyland-Yutani. So, again, going back to my conversation with Sean in the last episode, he was saying that it was Weyland Tyrell connecting it to Blade Runner, being them in the same universe. I just want to say, Sean, you're wrong. There, that's it. That's all I need to say.
Yeah.
It's Weyland-Yutani.
Good.
It's American-Japanese conglomerate, apparently.
Yep.
But they still don't fully explain what Weyland-Yutani is. All you know is that they have a bioweapons division that wants the alien.
Yeah. Again, like, why waste the time on explaining all that stuff? Because who cares? That's not relevant to the story.
They're just an evil corporation who doesn't care about people's lives. They just want this one thing.
Right. Yeah. I don't need to know that they sometimes have run-a-thons to, support,
run-a-thons?
Like,
what?
Right, but
what about the children?
Right, like they have. I'm sure they have a rich corporate history, but I don't care. What I care about is that they're evil and they have a
and that's the whole point.
It's
right?
Their effect on the story or on the characters that we care about. That's good story.
Yeah.
Okay, one more time before, or one more item before we fully slide into Aliens, which is amazing. But the computer, Mother in, I don't want to say Freudian too many times. This,
yes.
This podcast, but like, come on, all the dudes going to Mother for answers. Anyway.
Yeah.
But just the effect, the room, the like typing in plain language questions, but like this like calculating sound. Love it. I could watch 15 minutes of just them interacting with the computer.
So I must admit, I do still find it fascinating. But one of the things that, it's based on the technology and where they thought it was going to go from 1979. I get that, right?
Yeah.
But one thing that always gets me is that, so in like 100 years or whatever, you have a room with a bunch of blinking lights and you have to sit in this globe for what? Why do you have to sit in this? What?
You do.
It doesn't make it. Why do you need that many lights? Technically, you just need one light to indicate that it's on.
No,
That's
you need all the lights.
All the lights?
All the lights.
Oh,
very important.
I still think it's cool. I think it aged well and it looks really cool. At the same time, I'm just like, really?
The tiny, tiny little CRT screen. It's so good. I think we this came up again with 12 Monkeys, where our aesthetic preferences about future retro tech maybe fall slightly different into different areas.
I know, it's so weird.
No, I love all of that.
Yeah.
I could just, and also the seat allows for that amazing shot where Ripley's there finally getting the answers, and she's like horrified to see the crew expendable, and then like just move slightly and Ash is right next to her, and then the whole fucking that whole thing happens.
It's really fancy. Like it does. Like the spaces really do allow for these amazing shots of not just the space, but like these interactions with each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's also the scene where Ash is playing around with the face hugger, and she comes around the corner just over his shoulder, like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, and it's a very small and a very claustrophobic scene, even though it's just them together. But it's very clear that he's trying his best to keep her from looking at things while not looking like he's trying to keep her from looking from things.
But also being a robot, so he's bad at that.
Yeah. And that also reminded me of a scene from The Matrix.
Oh yeah.
You know the scene where Neo he can't sleep and he goes and looks, and it's oh my god, it's Cypher. Cypher's and he's looking at the code.
Right.
And then he like suddenly like turns things off or whatever, and it's very slick, and you know,
Cypher's better at it because he immediately starts talking about something else to draw the eye while he's doing it.
Yeah,
and
like, then he turns the screen off.
Brunette, redhead. He's like, yeah, I know that scene.
But yeah, like that. I'm like, oh, that's where the Matrix got it from. Like that, the scene is structured very much the same way because Neo comes in and he's very curious. He's asking questions. He's looking at everything.
Yeah,
and it freaks Cypher out for a second, but he nonchalantly is just like, let's distract you and I'll turn this off so you can't tell anybody what it's doing, and here's some alcohol so it kills those brain cells as well.
Yep.
So I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah.
Thought that was cool. Yeah, well, I guess we could go on to Aliens, which I
apparently watched the extended cut of.
Yes. It is, so I purposefully watched the theatrical release because I thought you would be watching the theatrical
I intended
release.
to.
You intended to. But, because the DVD doesn't include, like, the director's cut with, like, all the deleted scenes and all that kind of stuff in it. And I was like, no, let me see how it was, like, most people saw it. But I did check out the deleted scenes, so I do know the scenes that you're talking about.
So what else was there? Can I...
So for example, there's a scene where you go to the colony and you see it was Newt's family that found the alien and brought it back.
Oh, okay.
Then there's also a scene where you go to the colony just before they get like infected or whatever, and like I guess it was some sort of controller or boss or whatever got the note saying, you know, tell them to check the thing out.
I just told them to go, and like they're worried about their claim, if their claim is going to be
going to be honored and all that kind of stuff. And that scene, for example, where they show like the control, and they show like the kids playing in the background and all that kind of stuff. That scene, you see the Weyland-Yutani logo everywhere. Yeah, it's on their shirts. There's a kid riding a tricycle. It's on there. There's boxes. It's on the wall. It's everywhere. Yeah. Right. And then
imagine the like props and set people who like made all of that stuff, put it all together, all the extras and like, you know, and minor extras and they're like,
let's just cut that scene. We don't need it. It's fine. But I really don't think. I think if those scenes were included, it would have deterred, like it would have not ruined the mood, but you know, like it would have been a weird pacing thing. Yeah. If it was included. Because the scenes are too bright, let's call it. Like that scene is very bright, you know, all the lights are on and there's lots of colors.
While they're in the little rover, like on their way there, and it's like shot intentionally like they're a family in a station wagon going to a
Wally
World?
World?
Yeah, Wally World, absolutely. Maybe not quite that horrific.
Yes. Some were actually
they
fun.
only get eaten by aliens.
Yeah, how could it get worse?
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like they're just too light. They're just too there's too much levity in it, you know? But one of the scenes that I actually thought was in the theatrical release that was actually in the extended edition, like the extended version, is that in the extended edition, they actually make reference to the fact that Ripley left behind a daughter on Earth initially, who was 6 or 7 or something and died in her 60s because she was gone for 57 years. And she missed her child's whole life. And that really explains her deep connection to Newt later on, or her deep want to be with Newt the whole time. And when you watch the theatrical version, it's just like, it's like her biological clock is ticking kind of thing. You're just like, oh, you like her because she's a kid and you like, and kids are around. Oh, okay. You know, it just comes across as that compared to, no, she's a mother and she missed her kid's life, and this is another child that needs her help and her protection, you know, and that it really explains why she's so drawn to Newt and knows how to, for example, handle her so well when everybody else is trying to talk to her. Yeah. And she figures out, you know, let's calm down the conversation, just relax and, you know, make it better.
Yeah, I heard that after Aliens, Sigourney Weaver was pretty unimpressed with how the studio had changed Ripley and the character and stuff like that. And apparently that's one of the reasons why they had such a tough time with Alien3 is because, like, for a while it looked like Sigourney Weaver wasn't going to come back because she didn't want to deal with that again. She didn't want, like, she would rather have been written, like, Ripley to have been written out of the series rather than, like, to go through that again.
But isn't that why they killed her in the third movie?
It is too, but like the multiple early drafts of Alien 3 were written like with Hicks as the main character, and like other things. Like they went all over the place because they didn't, I guess, really know what they were going to be able to do and what they wanted to do. Yeah, because they just had two basically amazing directors at the top of their game making two amazing movies, and they're like, how do we follow this up?
Yeah, but I don't really think... I think Ripley's a little bit... Like, she's still very tough in the second movie, and I don't really think her character is that much different than the first movie. It just shows a development in her character, or the fact that she has a background.
Right, but I think maybe, like, I'm thinking maybe cutting that scene where it shows that she has a daughter might have been one of those things that she wasn't impressed with. I don't know specifically.
I mean, I must admit, it does...
Because you're right, it totally changes the way you interpret how she interacts with Newt. Right?
Yes, it really does.
So, like, I could see being upset if you think you're playing one character and then you go to the movies to see the premiere and you're like, wait, I'm playing this other character who's just got a biological clock? Yeah. In a movie that's really tiptoeing up to the edge of, like, you know, pregnancy and like also forced pregnancy and stuff like that.
You're just like, no, that's really not how it should work at all. You know, but yeah, like most of the scenes, I didn't go through all of the scenes that were cut, but the ones that I saw, like, except for that one, pretty much was like, yeah, they don't really need to be in there. It was fine. I mean, I think they were trying to, like, especially the scene where they were showing the LV-427 26 settlement beforehand was supposed to show more of a connection to, oh my god, these people are dead, you know, because there's children and they're having a good time and they're just like you and me and now they're dead. Yeah. But it doesn't really add to the story or anything like that. Yeah. You know?
It was interesting because, again, just watching it with those scenes in, they trundle up to the alien ship again in their thing, and they get out, and then there's just like one scene where you see Newt's dad or something with a face hugger on him, and then it cuts away, and then like the next time you see the colony, it's just like
ravaged.
Yeah, there's no like scene where an alien wakes up and kills somebody or whatever. It's just pure, like, once the alien gets in, it destroys everything.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they need to show the alien waking up and killing everybody. They know what's going to happen. Like, if you've seen it's dependent on you seeing the first movie to understand that scene, right? Because if it's an audience that's seen the first movie, they don't need to see a thing bursting out of their chest, running away, and then one of the aliens coming back and killing them. We know that's what's going to happen. The only difference is here is that out of whatever bursts out of their chest, a queen is born, which lays more eggs, which destroys the whole colony, which we find out later. And that's the thing that makes this movie more, it ups the stakes more. Because then you find out where the eggs, for example, come from. Is that there is a special type of alien, like a queen bee, or like queen ants and whatever, and they got fed a whole bunch of royal jelly, and now there's a queen, right? Something happens.
It's very termite-y with that like crazy long abdomen.
Yes. And
but it also has a tail, which is weird. But that's just a whatever.
Yeah, but I think that whole thing where, I mean, it's really gross when she gets up and the thing disconnects, and again we go back to the viscousness of the aliens. You're just like, oh god, this is necessary. There's so much goo, like
100% necessary.
Every time I see something goo, I'm just like, oh god.
But so it not only ups the stakes in terms of the alien, but it also ups the stakes in terms of the military and their incapability of dealing with this thing. Because the alien in the first one, like, it's just fighting a crew of blue collar people who are just trying to get the job done, right? Like they're not equipped to deal with this. And so it might be possible to think that had Ash succeeded and smuggled this alien back, like, assuming you know nothing else about, like, we don't know what the company is yet, we don't know who they are, what they represent, what the technology looks like on the core worlds, like, you could imagine a world in which, like, if they had got it, they could have made use of it. But then in the second one, you're like, oh, they have no fucking idea what they're doing.
They have no idea at all. And that's the thing. Like, they just send, what is it? I think it's 13 people. Yeah, 13 people go to the planet. It's 10 Marines, Ripley, Burke, and Bishop, and then they find Newt afterwards, making it 14 altogether. And so they think that's more than enough. But they also have no idea about, like, even Ripley, she doesn't know about, like, queens and birthing and how many people are on this planet and all this kind of stuff. She's just assuming there's probably one alien again.
Oh,
they can hunt them down or something.
I don't think Ripley's assuming that at all. She just nuke them from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. That's true. There could be tons of them. I don't know. I don't care.
No, but she even comes to that conclusion. She comes to that conclusion after they land on the planet and most of their team is killed.
True, but she knows that there were tons of eggs in the ship originally.
That's true.
So at the very least, if there's no queen, there's plenty of eggs, and she brings that up. She says that there could have been dozens, which is one of the reasons why the company's so excited to go and check it out.
Check it out. Yeah, that is true. That is true. But yeah, like, the Marines are, even with all their guns and their technology, and, you know, they've got scopes and they've got this, they've got that, they've got the other thing. They still, like, in that first encounter, 6 of them get wiped out without even knowing what is going on. You know, it's just like an automatic, like, complete mess. And they just get massacred right away.
They have that, so many amazing quotes in this movie.
Oh my god, yeah. But it's a dry heat. Sorry, I like that.
Yeah. That's good. But, like, specifically about this one is, me and my squad of ultimate badasses will protect you. Yeah. And then he launches into this whole rundown of all of their gear. That's when he explains all of it, like the grenade launcher he's played. Well, yeah. The more specific explanation of the grenade launcher, which, like,
Comes later on.
I'm gonna say Freudian again, but comes later. But the like just the him explaining how they've got grenades and nukes and all this stuff, and they're like, yeah, what could and auto turrets and like what could possibly hurt us?
Go wrong. Yeah. And then they even show like the scene where what is it, Vasquez and what's the guy that's her friend, like that the tough dude, and they think they're like the greatest team ever. Hold on, I'm looking it up. Vasquez and Drake. Vasquez and Drake. And you know how they have like the giant machine gun thing that's on like that arm that's attached to them, and they show this scene with them like getting it on and practicing with it, and like we're gonna take them all down and everything. And I'm like, that's not gonna do you any good, guys. Right? That's all you can think of. You're like, hey, good luck. You're gonna be dead. Like, and the worst part is like their tech is so, because they think the bigger the gun, the better, but it's just clumsy. And that's what ends up killing Drake in the first place, right? When they get Ripley comes in, she's in the ATV, she busts through, goes to pick them up, and they physically can't get into it because they've got these stupid things on them. They're trying to get it off, and then the alien comes from the side and takes them out, right? Yeah. And you're just like, no, if you had because isn't that where Hicks just has like a shotgun and shoots it in the face?
For close encounters,
like... And that's what you need, you know? Like, you need to be stealthy. You need to be quick. You need to have something that's easy to move around.
You need all that stuff, but also you can't win is the other thing. There's no way. And like, I was looking this up, and the first 2 Rambo movies have happened in the intervening time between Alien and Aliens. Oh, okay. And so, like, just that kind of 80s macho military badassery is like trying to come back after the like loss in Vietnam, and these like their tech is very Vietnam-y, right? Like those big machine guns, those like the M60s, the I think that's what they are. Anyway, but anyway, the like kind of machine guns that people would walk around with in the jungle, which also not a great idea. Also, and it's a similar kind of thing where very well funded, very powerful, capable military force is messed up by
it ended up working against you, right? Because it's just so gaudy and obvious, whereas you're not looking for those little things. You're not looking over your shoulder as much as you should and all that kind of stuff. You're not actually paying attention when you have like the little visor thing over your eye and you're just looking specifically instead of looking at your wall and be like, that looks like it's breathing, you know? Right. Because when the things finally started moving and came out of the walls, they're just like, what's happening? It's because nobody actually turned their head and looked at a wall. Yeah. They're just like, I don't sense anything, so just keep going. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a big, they messed up big time. Yeah. And one of the things that also bothered me about that first encounter is Gorman, right? Because they were in like the reactor area or whatever. Gorman, yeah. And he's just like, you can't fire weapons. Tell them why you can't fire weapons. Don't be like, no, take all of their ammunition and their guns and from their guns and stuff so they can't shoot things. And you're just like, but why? Yeah, he's a terrible commander. Yeah, if you tell them, hey, if you shoot a bullet into that thing, it's a nuclear explosion, you're all gonna die. People are gonna be like, okay, I'll be careful. Compared to just give me all your bullets. Why? Just give me all your bullets. Yep. That doesn't make any sense. Makes no sense at all. He's horrible. Absolutely horrible.
And then he gets knocked on the head and like spends an hour unconscious.
I know. Yeah, they end up dragging him around and stuff. I'm just, just leave him. He's fine. Yep.
Oh man.
I must admit, there's more visual effects in this movie that aged badly than in the first Alien movie, though. Especially like long shots and stuff. They aged horribly. That was very disappointing. Like, for example, there's the scene just after all of the Marines wake up and they're gathering in like the ship hold or whatever. They do a pan of inside the ship. Yep. And it is clearly one of those painted canvases. Right. And like at the very end, you're like, oh, that's where the set starts. There you go. It is so obvious. It's bad. There's also a scene where where the airship is first coming onto the planet and it's going through the clouds.
Yeah.
It looks horrendous. And
I just love the dropship pilot.
I know. StarCraft.
Yeah,
Yes.
her quotes.
I know, it just throws me back every
Yeah.
time. Yeah. Yeah. We're in the pipe 5 by 5.
Yeah.
That's good.
We're in for some chop.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And then there's also the scene where the queen is being blown up. So it's right at the very end, of course, where she's like launching the grenades. And it is so clear she's standing in front of like a video screen. Or, well, it would have been a green screen and they put the video on it. And I was like, oh, guys, you should have done better than this. But yeah, I don't expect everything to age perfectly. It's just, but those scenes are just so very, like, at least 2 of them are very important to the overall feel of the movie that kind of like distracts you from it, you know?
Well, what's incredible to me is that this, at least according to Wikipedia, the budget was only $17 million.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Okay, never mind. I'm not going to complain because they did an amazing job for that money.
Yeah.
Because some of those, because the sets, especially like the close shots of the aliens, some of the action sequences and stuff were fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, it's incredible.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just because we've gotten used to ridiculous price numbers or like costs of films. Because on average, a movie is on average it's like $100 million to make a movie these days, and if it's less than that, you're just like, what?
Yeah. No. Like I don't. I mean, obviously, genre depends on things because like, yeah, I don't know what an average movie in the 80s was, but certainly by, got it written down here, for 3, which was like 8 years later, 7 years, 6 years later. Yeah. Was $50 million.
Wow.
So,
okay.
You know.
That's a legitimate jump.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, you don't get what you pay for.
No, you definitely, oh my God. No, they did not.
Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah, serious. Talking about money, though, right at the beginning where they're interviewing Ripley, and they're talking about, like, the settlement has a significant investment for the company, and they say it's $42 million, and I'm like, that's it? I think it's one of those inflation things, like, they'd say 42 billion now, and that'd be, like, a big thing. In 20 years, they'd say 42 trillion, whatever. But all I can think of, like, 42 million, that seems like really small. That doesn't seem like a lot of money at all. It's fine.
It's 42 million Bitcoins, though. So it's...
that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
That makes a huge difference.
Multiply everything by, whatever, 5,000 now?
Something like that? Yeah. Like, didn't Bitcoin take, like, a dive the other day or something?
I think it did, but anyway.
But yeah, I think it went from, like, 7,000 to, like, 5,000. It's still a lot of money. It's okay. I also noted that James Cameron has a thing for scary dreams.
Oh yeah.
He does that whole like scary sequence or like imaginary sequence in a lot of his films. Like it's one of his tropes.
Oh,
almost.
that T2 one is so amazing. Oh,
it's so amazing. But then he also does ridiculous things like in True Lies when Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's in the car with the salesman and he punches him out and it's like all bloody and stuff. That's also Bill Paxton, which is in this movie, which I think is fascinating. I love like his character. His character is great. What's his character's name? I was gonna say Hicks, but I was like, no, that's the other guy. That's
Michael Biehn.
It is. It's Hudson. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, and I thought that was great.
One of the things I really liked about this movie was that they like had this robot character in it, and obviously we've only seen one previous robot in the Alien universe so far. I know it was pure evil. And one of the very first things Bishop says is "trust me." Yeah. Like just before he does the hand thing, right? But he says "trust me," and I mean it's just about the hand thing, but it's very interesting because like Ripley doesn't trust him, the audience doesn't trust him, but he says it, and then like throughout the rest of the movie, we remember that, and he turns out to be a really reliable guy. Yeah.
And he like gives his quote unquote life for them, you know?
It's very speciesist of you.
Is that speciesist or is it like androidist or something?
I'm sure.
I guess if you have a like the Borg, I guess, technology-based society. I guess that's a species at that point.
Hashtag not all androids.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
All right, it's speciesist of me. I'm very sorry. I will try to be a better person. But also one of the things that I found interesting is that Bishop was quoting Asimov's 3 laws at one point as well when he was trying to get her to trust him. Mm-hmm. Which I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And then he gets ripped in half.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Oh, God. That was such an amazing resurgence of, like, the Queen. And I like the fact that they try to, like, throw you off because they show the ship taking off and it gets, when there's an explosion, it gets blown to the side a little bit and then it gets, like, debris on its thing and that's why it couldn't take off right away. Mm-hmm. And then later on you realize, no, it's actually because the alien Queen was actually coming back onto the ship. What? Oh.
Yeah.
It's so good. Love it.
Yep.
I also noted the next time you actually see the Weyland-Yutani logo was the scene where Bishop was showing them like the venting happening.
Oh yeah.
And then it's a super quick scene, but they turn their heads and in the wall in the back, in the dark, you can see the big W. And I was like, oh, there it is again. And that's like 2 times you've seen the logo in the whole movie. And I always thought, like, of course, the company, which is Weyland-Yutani, is a huge catalyst for the movie. But I always thought it was like a bigger presence, if you know what I mean. Like, why do I know Weyland so well if... Like, even throughout the whole movies, they're barely actually shown or the name said out loud.
Right.
But why do I know Weyland so well? Like, it just makes no sense to me.
I don't know.
But
it's impressive how much it was capable of doing that just with those few scenes, right? Like,
yeah.
And I don't know. It's hard to talk about this movie without just being like, and then this cool thing happened, and then this cool thing happened. Like, I actually started watching it. I hadn't seen it in a while, and I was like, I just watched Alien, and I knew I loved Alien, and I verified I loved Alien watching it again.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is the like overhyped one, like whatever. And then I'm just watching it, and I'm like, no, it's fantastic. It's great. Yeah. I didn't even like. I was expecting that Newt was gonna be a lot more annoying, but because like kids in movies, they're not usually done well. I liked Newt. I liked how like scrappy and practical she was. Like just that one of her best quotes is just like, they're dead, okay? Can I go now? Like, just like, you dumb adult, why are you making me spell this out for you?
Yeah. Well, because it's true. They keep asking her questions like, what happened to them? What happened to them? Like, they're dead. You know they're dead. Yeah. Why do you want me to say that they're dead?
Yeah, I'm a kid.
Come on. Like, let me pretend so I don't have to say it out loud to you, okay? Like, I know what happened. Let me just be my childlike wonder for 5 minutes. Yeah. And the whole scene where like Ripley's putting her to sleep.
Yep.
And she's like, "Oh, what's her doll's name
Whatever.
again? Whatever."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, she doesn't have bad dreams." She's like, "Yeah, that's because she's a piece of plastic." I'm like, "Yes, thank you, child."
Yeah.
It's so yeah. I mean, she doesn't like they use her in a very specific way that she's not like she comes in when needed, but she's not obnoxious, and she's in scenes, but she's the quiet kid in the background who knows if I do something stupid, I'm gonna die, so I'm just gonna be quiet over here for 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, and she doesn't have like a weird skill or something that's like way overshadows the adults. Like she knows her way around the duct because that makes sense because she's been surviving for that long
and hiding. Yeah,
but she's not like can immediately hack into the Jurassic Park security system or like. Like any of those other like aliens any of those movies where the kid is just like way too precocious and has like some special skill that
saves the day like the last second.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they probably weren't running on a Unix system, so
right. They gotta type your commands back into Mother.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, and I remember hating Burke in this movie,
Yep.
but rewatching it, I hate him even more. Like every time I watch this movie,
yeah.
I hate him so much more.
Oh.
I'm like, I hate you. Why are you this person? What is wrong with you? You've just left them for dead. Oh my! Nobody cares about the money. You're gonna die. Like, what is wrong with you?
Well, I mean, yeah, and talking about various like psychosexual terrors, locking them in the med bay, like being locked in a hospital, with something that's trying to impregnate them, so that he can slip the alien through customs. Like, holy fuck, that's the special. Like, he's going to the special hell. Yeah,
he's going to, and it's not even like the adults. It's a child. It's a small child, and the woman. And you're just like, yeah, we're just gonna take them out. That's just fine. And like he was very methodical about it, because she left her gun on top of the bed. He made sure to move it so they didn't have any weaponry. Then he put the thing in there with them, because I don't think they're gonna put I don't think that's the same room that had them originally, because I don't think they'd put the bed for Newt to sleep in with the face huggers. That doesn't make any sense. And so then he puts that down in there, and I guess that's why she like popped out of her sleep all of a sudden, because she must have like heard something, maybe the door shut or whatever. But yeah, like that is just horrible. Like it's a horrifying scene in general, you know.
And I mean, this is way more of an action movie than a horror movie, but that's still that like underlying horror of the alien and its nature and the people in this universe that is like a through line for all these movies. And
the thing, like as I was saying earlier, is like this movie is also a masterclass on how to make a different type of sci-fi movie, because people always think, and maybe this was a controversy when this came out, but like though they're within the same universe, they both have the same sort of visual aesthetic, that kind of like dark, overbearing kind of feeling and everything. But they're very different movies. Like there's a proper balance between story and action in this one, whereas the first one was more story with some action sprinkled in. And it was more of a thriller / horror, where this is more of like a sci-fi action movie that has horrific scenes in it.
Right.
You know? And I like the fact that they were able to make two awesome movies in two very different ways with two very different styles of directing, which is not something you see very often. Usually if you have a series, they either try to make the movies the same way, or like when they try to change styles, it's garbage.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look what happened to Batman. Like, Joel Schumacher, what's wrong with you? When those other two, because they wanted to make it more comic book, it was such garbage. Like, I just don't understand. I
think more went wrong with that one than just the
so much
changing genres.
So much went wrong. Oh my god, that's coming next year. We'll figure it out. That's fine.
2019. Tracy rants about Schumacher Batman.
Ruined Val Kilmer's career. Somehow George Clooney is revived. I don't get it. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm the talent that was Val Kilmer. I'm sorry that we missed out on it.
Wait, no, he came back with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and that was fantastic.
All right, great.
He'll always be Mad Mardigan to me, mostly, though.
That's good.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
One last minor thing about why Burke is terrible. He keeps calling Ripley kiddo, but Paul Reiser is 7 years younger than Sigourney Weaver.
But technically in this movie, isn't she like 60 years older than him? No matter which way
obviously
you do it?
she hasn't like actually aged, like experienced time or like
that's true,
gotten older. But still, like we're talking about like a series that is about men not listening to women, and it's like
like
and you're like a corporate guy with his like
Popped
popped
collar.
collar.
Oh
and
my
he's
God.
like, hey kiddo.
That was the first thing I noticed. It was like, that
Yeah.
stupid popped collar.
Yeah.
Why is this in the future? Not necessary.
Right.
Thank you.
Now,
Also,
in the future, your neck gets very cold.
all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Also, we cannot go past this movie without talking about the epic sequence at the end of the movie when she gets into the suit and
The loader, yeah.
the loader, and just like destroys that queen alien. Like, it is amazing. Like, and I
Yeah.
love the fact that they did a distraction. Okay, so of course, you know, Bishop gets ripped apart and she gets the attention of the alien and tells Newt to run, and Newt does what she does, is hide in a duct. She just goes under, which isn't sufficient, fine. But you have Newt as a distraction while she gets ready, and you don't have to watch her get into the thing because you've seen it already in the movie and you know she knows how to do it. And so they spend the time with Newt freaking out, the queen alien trying to get her and everything, and then she comes out and you're just like, yes, yes, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
yeah. Like, I remember the first time I watched this movie.
Yeah.
And like all the army dudes are dead. Everything like is gone to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ripley is taping a rifle to a flamethrower, and I'm like, nothing's gonna be more badass than this. Surely
You were wrong,
that is
sir.
so badass. She's got like this crazy
Uh-huh.
like double. You know, you were saying unwieldy guns is a bad idea against aliens.
Yeah.
Ripley proves that theory wrong.
Mm-hmm.
With
She does.
two guns taped to each
does.
other, and then it's so badass.
Yeah.
And then double badass. She's
Yeah,
in a
like,
giant autoloader.
It's one of those things where you're like, you can't up the ante on this. There's no way.
So good.
You know, she just went in there, double like taped up guns, rocket launcher, flamethrower, the whole bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then she manages to do it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And then I got frustrated with the physics of the suction coming out of the end. I'm like, her arm would have been broken. And then I was like, that's stupid, Tracy. Shut up. Just enjoy the movie. It's fine.
It's okay. I'm pretty sure that whole trope of like the suction and it's like crazy wind.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how spaceships work. So
No, I don't think that's how it works either.
so it's fine.
Yeah.
And that happens in every single one of them. I think. I don't think there's an airlock scene in 3 because they're on a planet the whole time.
Yes, that is true.
But otherwise,
yeah, there's an airlock scene in the fourth one. That's correct.
ugh.
Oh, lots of airlocks.
Other awesome things other than the whole movie?
Yeah.
I think that no. That was a question. I think that just the whole thing is great.
So one thing I think I realized in this movie is that, so you know how they blocked up everything in that one area for them to stay in, and the aliens were not attacking them, right? And then of course Burke tried to kill or infect Ripley and Newt, and then the only way for them to get out is they had to put on the fire alarm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's the reason why the aliens finally attacked? Because it was right after that scene, like there's noise. It's indicating like this is where people are. Because I don't know why I didn't think about that before, but I have a feeling that's why the aliens attacked them at that point, is because they're like, no, now we know exactly where they are. Let's go get them.
That's a good thing. That's something I didn't notice. Because the first attack that gets fought off by the auto guns, and you have that great scene where you're watching the counters go down.
That scene is not in the
what?
Yeah, that it's not in the theatrical. I thought I was crazy, and I was just like, no, they set up like auto guns or whatever, and they were testing it. No, that's not in the theatrical.
No, but
release.
when they're sitting in the control room and they're and the things are running, or
that is not in the theatrical release. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, because they have a whole sequence in the extended edition where they set up motion sensor guns, right? And the aliens keep coming at it.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
And so when I watch that version of it, I think, oh no, they already know where they are and they're testing them and then they found a different way in. Fine. But in the theatrical release, that whole autogun setup thing is not in the movie.
So is there that scene where they say that they're blocking things off and they've got auto guns at different
they
areas?
They don't mention guns at all. All they do is they check their inventory, they make a plan, then they shut all the doors, right?
Okay.
To cut them off. There's no mention of setting up autoguns.
Do they talk about the what they're doing when they close down the guns? Or to close down the doors, I mean?
No. All they mention that they explain that they're trapping themselves in that space so nothing can come in. Okay. So they seal all the doors.
Yeah, okay.
But there's no mentions of guns or anything.
Well,
like
that's a fantastic scene. It's crazy that they would cut it. But what I liked a lot about that the explanation, whether you see the actual guns or whatever, it doesn't matter. What really matters is them explaining, like, we are here, we've sealed ourselves in so that there's only one way. For me, that really set up some geography. Like, I mean, not physical. I don't actually. I get totally lost in those sets. So maybe they were paying attention to where all the corridors went or not. I can't really follow that stuff. But
well, they don't make it that clear in this either.
But what they do is they explain, at least, like, in a theory, that there's only one way in or out, and that's why we're here, and that's
the
why
safest place to be.
We think we can be safe, and like that there's like only one point of attack potentially, and that was something that I feel like you get lost in Alien 1, the ship, like, you know, but even there they have the same kind of scene where they say, hey, it's in this particular shaft. If we seal off all the accesses to that shaft, then we can push it towards the airlock because it will have nowhere else to go. Like, there is an explanation for what they're trying to do. Whereas in 3, sorry to jump ahead, but there's way less of an idea of, they're just like, we're gonna lure it from wherever it is to this thing.
There's like 4 plans they try to put into place in that movie.
And the whole place doesn't feel like a place. Anyway, that was one of the things I really liked about this movie.
Well, because the reason why I brought that up is because in the theatrical version, there's no indication that the aliens know where the humans are.
Wow.
At that point, right? It just looks like they found out because
so they have the first attack, the first incursion. Goes in, a bunch of them die. And then they just run back and everything's fine.
Well, because remember they go back outside. The thing's supposed to pick them up. Right. It crashes instead. And then they go back inside to the one area that they know. They find a plan. They look at it and they're like, look, this is the best place to be in because there's only one entrance, and they block it off, right? But in the movie, there's no indication that the aliens know that they went back inside and where they were. All they know is that their ship crashed and they couldn't get off the planet. That's all that they knew. So that's why watching the theatrical version, I'm like, maybe the reason why the aliens attacked as soon as that happened is because the alarms go off. That indicates where they are. So then the aliens are like, oh, we can get them now. Whereas, the one with the deleted scenes and all that kind of stuff, with the motion sensor guns and everything, it indicates that the aliens already know where they are. They're just waiting their time to get through. Yeah. And that's it. Okay. Right? Yeah, so it's a very different... it's not really a different conclusion. It's a different thought process to what the aliens are doing. Yeah. That kind of thing. But yeah. Anyways, so Aliens 1 and 2, awesome. Great. Now we're on to 3.
Aliens 3. Alien 3?
Yeah. It's Alien 3 or Alien Cubed. Yeah. David Fincher's Alien 3 from 1992. And... oh, God. I gotta say, this movie is awful. Okay.
It's not good.
It's not good. The funny thing is, I actually have a very specific memory of the first time I watched this movie. Especially when I was younger, I hated horror movies. Like, I really, really hated them. And this was, of course, a time when they had, like, pay-per-view and you could rent movies and all that kind of stuff on pay-per-view. And one night... My brother and my parents really wanted to watch Alien 3, so they rented it and put it on. And I got so freaked out that my parents took it off, sent me and my brother to bed, and then they finished watching the movie. My brother was so mad at me for a long time about it. And I remember this movie being so scary. I was just like, oh my god. And then I watched this and I was like, oh, what is this nonsense?
Yeah, it's not very good. It's got a lot of good.
It has a lot of good actors, and
and like there are multiple scenes that could have been the basis for better movies. Like there are moments. There are characters that like don't really get developed, but like you're like, oh, if they picked a character and focused on them, maybe we could get some actual connection.
Well, that's one of the things that frustrated me about this movie is, except for Dr. Clemens and 85, the deputy, warden guy, like, you don't actually know who's who, because they kept cutting from people to people. And I was like, I don't know who any of these people are. And they're talking like they all know each other and we all have been able to figure out what everybody's doing. And you haven't. And
they're so, they keep cutting through them. They don't spend enough time with them. They don't have distinct enough personalities, except for Dylan and the overseer and his crony.
Yeah.
And even then, they're not rounded characters. They're just like, oh, I recognize that person because he was yelling 2 scenes ago.
Yeah.
But like in Alien, you have that breakfast scene where they're waking up and we get introduced to everybody, and everybody's got a very different way of reacting to what's happened.
Going on. Yeah.
And so you very quickly get introduced to these 7 people and know what they're all about. And then like there's more people in Aliens, but you
still know each person.
Yeah, they all have very distinct personalities. We spent some time in the dropship with them. There is literally a scene, or maybe there is, I'm pretty sure this isn't also cut, where they're staring at the bank of screens and like the Marines' like eyepieces are going to the to Gorman, and so like it's like their names are printed on every screen, so it's like there's an extra cue to like it really helps out the audience to be like, these are characters, each one's different, they have their own names and personalities.
Yeah, they're very distinctive in Aliens. Yeah. Like each person is clearly distinctive and you can pick them out. And they also have like a physical look that makes them distinct as well. And one thing I find about this, especially with the prisoners, they're all kind of dirty. They're kind of wearing the same thing, and you're just like, I don't know who you people are. Like, you guys just look like a group of clones. Like, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because even in like, I know this is horrible, but there's an attempted rape scene in the movie where four of them attack Ripley.
Yeah.
And I, like, seriously, they were cutting from person to person to person, and I was like, isn't that the same person? Like, that's what I kept thinking.
Right.
And this is within the same scene. They're showing 4 different people, and until Dylan shows up, who's a black guy compared to, like, the white guys, I guess, I couldn't tell any of them apart.
Right.
So it's stuff like that I was getting really frustrated at, like, because they kept showing different people, and it was clear they were different people because they're having a conversation, but I was like, who is who, and like, are you sure? Are they twins? Like, what is even happening right now?
Yeah, like this is presumably supposed to be a very traumatic event. It's supposed to like be like one of the things that, you know, humans are the real monsters, blah blah blah. But like, Ripley is trapped with these people, and so you'd think that you'd want to know who, like communicate to the audience that these are the perpetrators of this. Like, these are, like, you know, Dylan, we know, is like the leader of this religious sect. The other ones, like everybody else there, it says in the movie, like chose that they would rather continue this religious ascetic lifestyle
then go back to Earth, I think it was.
Yeah.
Or go to like a different colony or something.
But like most of their actions and personalities don't reflect that.
Yeah.
Like they're just random like prisoner people, and it's weird.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like if there's no character development, no character involvement in general, especially later when she develops her plan on like how to save people and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think there should be some level of distrust shown between her, like the people who attacked her and are they going to do what they're supposed to do? Do I want to be alone with these people? There should be some sort of development in there that is not shown at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the doctor who we get the most time with, and his character is developed, but the character that develops is he's a very like inward, not really talking very much, kind of stoic dude. He doesn't really have a lot of character to him. Like his character is revealed as a very like kind of narrow character.
Well, and that's the thing that bothered me about it is so I know you were talking about in Aliens how Sigourney Weaver didn't like the development of Ripley, but she came back for this movie, and I think this is the one of the ones that she produced. I think this one's the one she produced. Her character in this is completely different. It like she becomes sexual. It's weird, but she becomes sexualized in this movie, whereas the other movies she isn't, right? Because like there's that whole scene where she's hitting on Dr. Clemens, and there's a weird affair that happens, and you're just like, what? Like I don't what? Like it just doesn't fit in at any point, and it's super abrupt and it's super random. And I think things like that where it's like it's not necessary. It wasn't necessary to develop the story in any way, shape, or form. Because I mean, even in Aliens, she made a connection with Hicks that wasn't sexual. So
it was sexual. They were eye banging all over that gun.
Okay. I get the tension was there. They had fun cocking his gun and everything. Yeah. Fine, but there was no actual affair. There was no going through with the action because you're gonna die. Learn how to use the gun and just shoot people. Fine, whatever. Okay. Yeah. I get it, right? I mean, if he lived, they would have gotten it on. I get that part. It made sense. Whereas in this movie, it was just, she's like, I've been in space for a long time. Let's get it on. You're like, what?
I mean, it was just, a little bit. No. I totally agree. It did nothing to develop the story. Totally unnecessary. But, god damn it, this is the third time she's woken up from cryo sleep. Like, in sequence, every time she goes to cryo sleep, she wakes up and there are aliens killing people. This is every single time she's like, God, just like
she's like, I'm just tired now. Can I do something else with my sleep? Like, come on, let's do this.
Like.
I just think it was a waste of screen time, personally.
Well, I mean, I agree, but not as much as like the whole last third of the movie.
That it was such nonsense. Like all of it is such nonsense.
Because it was. I'd never seen this movie until I watched it for this podcast.
Okay.
Because I am not only coming back to do the sci-fi stuff, but I'm keeping up my tradition of having only seen 50% of the movies of the podcast until I show up. So I hadn't seen it, and I was like, I couldn't remember which one people like hated the most, whether it was 3 or Resurrection. And so I started 3, and I'm like, it's rocky, but like there's some weird stuff. Like maybe they're gonna do something interesting with this. You're shaking your head. I haven't even said what it is. Like I was thinking like space Christians. I'm like, okay, That's weird. Prison planet. Oh, okay, that's kind of weird. Mysterious. This doctor has a mysterious past. That I wonder what they're gonna do with that. Oh, it's nothing.
Yeah.
The space Christianity. Oh, we're not gonna really do anything with it. It's just backstory to explain why they're here, and there's only 25 of them in a giant factory that they can't operate. That's
the place that's falling apart, but for some reason they've got everything that they need, and they don't apparently. They get shipments once every year or something. For
or
food.
6 months
but they're fine. I'm so people don't get sick and die, because that place is steamy and quite humid. Yeah, I mean, I personally think it'd be uncomfortable. It's like repente.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a very specific reference. I talk about Star Trek as much as I can. It's fine.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's but I was watching it, and then just none of these weird ideas turned into anything.
They really don't. They
and then the last third is them throwing cans at the dog alien and somehow outrunning it. Which made no sense. And then we get first person perspective from the alien dog running after them, which was bad. Mm-hmm. So this was apparently David Fincher's first feature as a director.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He mostly did music videos and ads before this.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, so I got a couple of just really quick facts about the weird production of it. William Gibson, the famous cyberpunk novelist, wrote the first draft of the screenplay, and it was the first screenplay he had ever written. And apparently none of it got used because it was supposed to be they landed on a planet and they were space Marxists. But by the time they got around,
religion, it's fine.
But by the time they got around to producing it, the Cold War had ended because the Soviet Union had fallen apart. So they're well, that idea's gone. Gibson later, apparently his a version of his script that's floating around is available on the internet. I didn't look it up, but he summed it up years later as space commies hijack alien eggs, big problem on Mall World.
Oh god. Okay.
So might have been a Day of the Dead style, they're all in the mall or something. Yeah. That might have been fun.
But, yeah, that might have been fun. Yeah.
But yeah.
That's one of the problems with this movie is that it
isn't fun.
It's not fun at all. It takes itself so seriously. It takes itself as seriously as the first movie does, but it doesn't do anything good like the first movie does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas the second movie, at least there's jokes in there. There's bits of levity. It knows it doesn't take itself as seriously, but it does it properly, right? There's no jokes, there's no levity, there's no humor in any of this movie.
No.
And it makes it so boring. It's boring is what the biggest issue with it is.
Yeah, it is, because I watched the extended cut, certainly, of Aliens. It was the shortest of the 3 so far that I had watched, but it felt by far the longest.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time watching. It was one of those, I had to force myself to watch the movie, Tracy. Yeah. Watch the movie. I felt sorry for the dog. I mean, I think his was the saddest death, personally.
Yeah.
Also, so there's a logistics issue in this movie that I may have answered in my own brain, or I might be wrong. But, so, okay. So we know that Ripley has been impregnated by a face hugger somehow.
Yep.
And survived and is there, right?
Yeah.
But there is no queen alien on the ship. We know, based on the opening sequence of the movie, there should only be one egg. So where does the second face hugger that attacks the dog come from?
Good question.
Right?
I don't know.
So that was my biggest issue. I'm just the whole thing is make believe and it's ridiculous and everything.
No,
but if you're building a world and you have rules to your world, stick to your rules, right?
But also it just adds to the like chopped together nature, like feeling of the film, where it's like it feels like they didn't go back, like after they edited it together, they didn't go back and be like, oh, we've got this problem here, we need to go back and fix it. They're just like, well, we've got a bunch of scenes, they more or less work out to a movie, we'll just put them in order and ship it.
It's just done, right? I don't know, like it was just really frustrating to me, because I spent the rest of the movie trying to like, okay, well maybe the alien queen left two eggs, but I'm like, no, because they showed the thing breaking into the one thing, and then one of them was bleeding, so that means one of them got injured, and that's what made the ship crash in the first place, so that one's probably dead, and it's a whole thing. It's fine.
Oh, that's definitely one thing I wanted to bring up is starting in Aliens, they like Aliens is obviously great, but even, that's where they started, and then it just keeps seeming to get worse throughout the series. Is that the acid blood is often conveniently forgotten. Like unless it's like important, they're like, oh, this is acid blood, that's terrible. Oh, but actually in this scene, like
it doesn't eat through anything here, but it eats through everything over here. Oh yeah, don't worry, I know all about that. I also thought the cremation scene of Newt and Hicks.
Oh yeah.
That scene was a bit much. Because
the surgery on Newt was.
That was unpleasant.
Apparently, there was a lot more, and it was a lot more graphic, and they even cut it back.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I like it could be because Newt would have aged and she wouldn't have looked the same, so they couldn't use her for that scene. So they didn't show like her whole face and all that kind of stuff, which is good. And they didn't actually show like the incision like into her stomach and stuff, which is great. That's probably what they showed in like an extended version. I didn't really look it up for this movie because I didn't need more of this movie.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that whole scene was it was so much. Like it was so much, And I understand why they did it, but the problem is that later on you find out, oh, there's a bioscanner bed. They could have just put the body there, scanned it, and have known.
Right.
Like I don't understand why she had to be cut open. Like it wasn't necessary. Also, where is this bioscanner bed? Is it on the ship that she was on? Because it didn't look like it was part of the installation.
Well, this is the thing. All the sets are kind of disparate. Like it doesn't look like there, but I think they mentioned that it exists, but the computer doesn't work, right? Like or something.
No, the computer not working thing was when she pulled the black box from the ship and they couldn't read it, and then she got Bishop and plugged it in to Bishop and whatever, and then they went through
that
whatever.
Scene is great.
That scene is really good.
Yeah.
That scene is really good. You actually like, despite him being an android, he's like, please disconnect me, please destroy me, because I don't want to be less than I am, and this hurts. Like you need to stop doing this. And I thought that was just Bishop, fantastic. I thought that was really good. Mm-hmm. Also, okay, so this is the first movie where there seems to be a huge issue with timelines with the aliens. So, in the first movie, it seemed like the gestation period was a couple of hours, and the alien getting bigger was like several hours. Like it was like 5-6 hours, and then
it's gonna 6-7
hours and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, like 12 hours altogether from insemination to big alien that'll kill you.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it seemed like. The second movie, because you're kind of detached from it, you don't know the timeline of when the colonists are killed and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't think we see
one chest burst in it.
Right, but that one doesn't then turn into, like, we don't see exactly when it becomes an adult. They kill it. Yeah,
they kill it right
That's
away.
what I mean. So there's no in that movie we don't see a baby alien grow up into a full aliens, so we get no time.
You get no time. Yeah, exactly. So that
Yeah.
movie, you don't get a timeline in it, right? But you know, like the colonists were systematically inseminated, and then aliens were created, and all that kind of stuff. Fine, right? Whereas in this movie, okay, so Ripley lands, the dog gets attacked at some point, births this alien that is huge for some reason. It's a full-size alien that still molts, but it's a full-size alien for some reason when it first comes out. And you're just like, what? This doesn't make any sense. And then Ripley's alien is in her for, what, a week and a half?
Yeah.
But is that because of the concoction that Clemens is giving her? Is that, like, what's the purpose of that?
I headcanon that as, like, queens take longer, but
I don't know. They take
longer
weird
to grow. But yeah, no, it's weird. It's a bizarre thing to come up with halfway through the movie or 2/3 of the way through the movie or whatever. It's like, oh, by the way, there's an alien inside you.
Yeah.
Well,
and
great.
You're just like, all right, if you say so. It just seemed like it just creates this like weird continuity issue where you're just like, well, how, like, is it minutes? Is it hours? Is it days? Like, how long because the same thing happened with in Alien versus Predator. It seemed like within 20 minutes the thing burst out of like the other people's chests and were chasing them through the structure. Yeah. And you're just like, I don't think that's right.
Alien versus Predator, like, you got a timeline. You got to get those aliens off running.
That is
this
true.
This thing's got to get going.
Exactly. That is very true. So when they're on a timeline, they know this, and they just hurry stuff up.
Yeah,
like, they're just like, let's get this going. Everything's fine.
They mature. Their life cycle matures at the pace of plot.
Yes. Apparently, because you'll see that in this movie and the next movie as well. And it's like, oh, okay. Sure. Also, another thing about Ripley's personality that really gets me in this movie is she's very, like, I know she's already had a problem with men previously, not listening to her and all that kind of stuff. But there's this scene where she first wakes up, she shaves her head, and she's going into the mess hall.
Yeah.
And she, like, actively antagonizes them for no reason in particular.
I mean, it's a little bit of a, like, you gotta punch the craziest guy there, like, kind of prison thing, you know?
Yeah, but I also think it's, like, I think it's just stupid. Like, she just comes off as an ass rather than tough guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, like, that whole scene really bothered me because I'm like, yeah, you've made yourself known. You've told him thank you. You know, there's no reason, like they are hostile towards her because she represents temptation to them and a disruption to their order, right? So I understand their motive, but she has no motive for her actions to antagonize them. She just seems to be like, no, I'm bothering you. I'm gonna bother you some more for the fun of it.
Yeah, and then she's committed to, like, being secretive about the alien, which is, like, I guess I get it because, you know, everybody who finds out about it wants to, like, make more of them instead of kill them. So maybe that's what her idea is, but, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
No.
And because that would be a really great way to get everybody on side. Is like, hey, there's a monster, like, you know, common threat. But yeah, and then the same thing with the doctor, like, he's got a secret past, and we're like, oh, he, like, turns out he, like, got really drunk and then did a bad surgery one time. It's like, okay.
Yeah, like, I really thought he was going to be, like, one of the criminals, and, you know, he did something, like, I'm not saying what he did wasn't horrific. I just was expecting him he did something malicious, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we're on the bleakest prison world ever. And he's like, yeah, I endangered lives, and so I was sent here with the murderers, and, yeah.
Seems like a harsh punishment as well. I'm not saying it's not deserved, I'm just saying it just seems, especially because it wasn't malicious, it just seems slightly harsher than it should have been.
Maybe it's because in the future they have, like, sober up pills that are, like, it's...
You could have just popped 2 of these!
Yeah, exactly. And,
yeah, should be drinking the synthahol and be done with it. Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, I don't know if I have any much more to say about this.
Yeah, I really didn't like this movie at all. Also,
Yeah.
a lot of the CG did not age well in this movie in any way, shape, or form. Because especially the when they show like the alien running towards them and stuff, it just looked so bad. It looked so
the
bad.
running alien, terrible.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, that one scene where, like, from the poster or whatever, like the scene from the movie where like Ripley is like looking away and the alien's like
on her face,
right there, like that looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
But then it doesn't really go
anywhere.
Like.
And also the part where she like jumps off the thing and into the vat or whatever looks horrible.
Oh yeah, when she's holding the yeah.
Yeah. Apparently in the director's cut it doesn't bust out of her.
Oh really?
Yeah. It's just, whatever. She just dies. Also, okay, so
and then they were like, "Oh, but Terminator already did that."
Yeah. And they did it well.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Also, I have a question. So Bishop in that scene, he says he's a real person, right?
Okay.
But when the guy hits him over the head, and if you look at his picture, it looks like his ear is off his face.
Okay.
But you don't see any indication of blood, but you also don't see any of the white goopy stuff either.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, was he like a real person or was he like an android? I'm confused as to, were they trying to deceive him? Like, like in Terminator, for example, where they send back the T-100 looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger to throw him off and whatever to kill him. Like, were they sending a Bishop to like throw her off, to get that like sentimental whatever? Because the way the scene is set up, it seems like she's being duped by him.
Yeah.
And then when he gets hit in the head, because there's no blood or anything, I didn't notice any blood at least, or the angles that they used, it didn't look like there was any blood. But it did look like his ear was detached from his face.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was he real or was he an android?
Good
that was
question.
my other thing. All right.
At that point, I don't. But it also does. At that point, I'm kind of checked out, right? Like
that's true. It's garbage. It's fine. Yeah. All right. Okay. So on to Alien Resurrection.
Yeah.
I fully remember absolutely hating this movie when I first saw it. But I must admit, after watching Alien 3, it was better than I remember.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, it's one of those turn your brain off action movies. Like there's no real quality to it, but like, stuff blows up, there's some shooting, there's some one-liners,
Yeah, no, like I really enjoyed, I had not seen Alien Resurrection before. I'd seen scenes from it as I realized as I went through, but I hadn't seen it beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
But Leah would say that like the first two are films.
Yes.
And the third one is trying to be something. But the fourth one kind of knows what it is.
Yeah.
And which is just like a popcorn movie. And once you realize that, then like Ron Pearlman starts like, growling around and being like so arch, and you're like,
he's all surly and stuff.
This is the kind of movie we're doing. Okay, cool. Yeah. Like, and after I settled into that, I really liked it. The other thing that really tipped me off is the one of the scientists, not the one that is accompanying them through most of the movie, but the one who's all zipped up in the alien goo at the end.
Dude. Yeah.
That is the voice of Chucky.
Yes.
From all the Chucky movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
but he's the guy who always plays a creepy dude in anything that he does.
But that's what's great. But like he's not somebody you put in a movie that you're trying to be like have a serious film about, right? Like he's somebody you put in where you like, I want that amount of camp. And like it's a nice...
I need people to chew up some scenery and just be a little ridiculous. Yeah.
And so like I would say, this is the similar year to Batman and Robin. Like
I think so actually. Yeah.
Anyway, that I felt like, I mean obviously people really didn't like it at the time, and
it is the same year as Batman and Robin.
It didn't make a lot of money relative to its Wikipedia. I think says 60 to 75 million budget, but I enjoyed it for what it was. But if you're going in there expecting like Alien, you know, and like some,
it has, but I think it has a proper amount of Alien-esque moments to it.
yeah,
You know, like you still get that, like you get a couple of jump scares, you get a couple of you know drippy mouth bits and people putting their hand in goo when they shouldn't and all that kind of nonsense. And it also shows how smart the aliens are as well, especially, you know, that same doctor trying to torture them. And they're like, they learn real quickly. Yep. They're like, this is not going to do.
Yeah. Him, like, the two of them, like, him eyeing the alien through the glass and then, like, kissing the glass and, like,
It's just...
That's, like, again, it's stuff that is in all of the movies, that kind of weird, creepy... parental sexual
thing
stuff, but then they're just like, no,
let's just up this a little
bit. Like we're just wearing it on our sleeve, like everybody knows what we're doing here. Let's just do it. Why do we have to be all arty about it?
I mean, but they did try to do some really artsy stuff in here. They really did. Like, especially like that scene, for example, they do try to get that, like, that mirror balance and movement and shine off the head, and they do, like, the back and forth between the faces, and then, of course, like, him pontificating at the end when he's all wrapped up, and look at the baby, look at the sweet baby, and you're just like, what are you saying? Stop it. Like, it's just, there's also, like, the scenes with, like, Ripley during her, like, rebirth, you know, when they, like, throw her in the cage, and she's for some reason like a weird sheath plastic thing that she's got to break out of, like she's coming out of the womb or whatever. And I'm like, you're on the button, like you're pushing that button like crazy. You're like, we're gonna be as obvious as possible. Here you go. And it's like, is that necessary though? Is it?
I see. Yeah, and and maybe it's just because I watched all four of them like in very rapid sequence.
Yeah.
But I was like. Yeah, this is kind of what I want right now. I want Ron Pearlman to like lie backwards on a ladder and shoot like aliens. I want Warwick from CSI lead everybody through some tunnels. And like have taxi driver pop out guns and like.
I love the fact that, but the thing is that whole scene annoys me. As soon as he gets a little acid on his face, he's like, I'm not pretty anymore. I've got to kill myself. And because there was no reason for him to kill himself. Like, the alien is dead, sure, staying off his foot, but he could have just shook his foot, it would have fallen off. But he's like, no, I'm gonna unbuckle and die because I ain't pretty no more.
In the extended cut, there's like dozens of scenes of him just admiring himself in the mirror. He's very vain. It really dives into that character aspect.
I believe it. I believe that so much. It's ridiculous. Man. No, but it's like that movie is just so it's so ridiculous that I kind of love it. Because even like the Colonel guy, the guy that's in charge. Yeah, okay.
I love him so much.
He is so known for like chewing up scenery and just being kind of like this outlandish version of like this, like his characters.
Yeah.
And I thought he was great. Like, especially the scene where, where they're evacuating a ship and the Marines are like, they're going into the escape pod and that one alien gets into one, he throws the grenade and he's like giving a salute and that's when he dies.
Yes.
And, he's just like, I gotta check, am I really dead? And he's like, yeah, there's my brain.
He's got the wild eyes the whole movie.
The whole time. But the thing that I like about him is that he's actually a colonel who is being cautious. Like, he's like, no, I'm not messing around with these things. You need to make sure this, like, I know I'm doing something sketchy. We're not in regulated space, but and I got bodies from these like these space pirates or whatever. Sure, but we got to make sure these things don't escape. We're gonna do our job. Everything's gonna go right. And now you've ruined it because you wanted to be, I'm the guy in charge. Let's teach them a lesson.
Well, but they would have broken it down anyway.
Yeah, they would have figured it out.
The fact that they didn't have acid-proof,
which makes no sense, because that's one of the things that they know about the aliens is that they have acid blood. Mm-hmm. You have to make, like, and the thing is, it's not even that, it wasn't even like the acid blood was like slowed down or anything. No, it went through like 12 decks when they looked through the hole. So it was just like, it went through everything. You guys aren't even trying. Yep. You're not even trying. Like, the alien could have, instead of killing that one alien, they could have just like cut its finger and been like,
Absolutely.
None. Yeah. None. And it would have cut through everything. It would have been just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the colonel or whatever rank he was.
Yeah.
He was my first sign that I was like, oh, this guy is acting in a different movie. Like, he is like, he's a totally different thing, movie. There's a scene where, like, he's in bed when the alarms go off, and he just gets up and he's the hairiest shoulders in the world. It's great. It's just like...
yeah, you're just like, you're on a different level right now.
He's like some kind of weird terrier eyes where he's just like, oh. It's so great. So I had to look it up. This movie was directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, I think.
Yeah, the same guy who directed Amelie.
Yes, which was his very next movie.
Okay, so I'm gonna admit something.
What's that?
I have never watched all of Amelie.
Okay.
I have tried to watch that movie 3 times. It is so pretentious that I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. But
that's why it's twee and pretentious and all of that stuff, and then so to watch this and know it's by the same guy, where it's just like, it feels like the directorial equivalent of like wearing big rubber boots and just sloshing through like
flowers,
puddles, like just kicking up the water, being like, having a grand old time, like really simple pleasures.
No, but he's like, so one of the other movies he directed was a movie called Delicatessen, which has so the guy in the wheelchair, what's his name? Really? Why is this? Oh, here it is. Dominique Pinon. I don't know what his name is. But so the director did another movie called Delicatessen, and it's an old French movie where it's a delicatessen where they're killing people and serving them. It's pretty much
nice.
And it's a very strange, very uncomfortable, very weird French movie, you know? And I remember, I haven't seen it in probably 15 years or so. And I remember loving that movie. Like, I remember full on just thinking that movie is like, it's like the proper quirk level. It's creepy and kind of gory at the same time. And it's got that, like, it has the same kind of visual feel as it, that kind of like dark, sort of like, not colorless, but like muted color feel to it, you know? And it's just like this group of people, if I remember correctly, it's like a group of people figuring out what this delicatessen is doing and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I haven't seen it in a while. And I just thought it was fantastic. And when I realized it was the same director, I'm like, I understand certain scenes and certain setups in the film. Like, I get the color palette and I get why like certain scenes are done in certain ways, but at the same time I'm just like, why couldn't you be like good like this and bring it over here? Like, bring that, like, I think this is a movie that could have handled that little bit of quirkiness to it, right? You know, like that quirkiness was brought, like that scene where Call is trying to get out of that room with the two guys and they're like drinking, and she just randomly pulls out, like, she's got the boxing gloves and she's trying to take the drink. Like, that's totally this director.
Okay.
And, like, I'm like, oh, that explains this whole scene. It wasn't just, like, a random thing. Like, that's his style.
Right.
I get it now. And it's, like, you needed a little bit more of that in it. Mm-hmm. And I think it would have worked a little bit better. because the movie does, like, with, you know, it falls apart. It does fall apart. What can I say?
Yeah.
That's all I was getting at.
Yeah. You get the fleshy alien at the end.
Oh, God, that fleshy alien. Okay, so the gift Ripley gave the alien queen. Oh, okay, no, hold on. I'm going to start before that. First of all, when you clone people, you don't clone their parasites. Parasites don't magically appear. Okay?
Unless, because they took the blood from the planet.
Yeah.
And if it was already changing her DNA, like if it wasn't just using her as a host, but actively changing her DNA, that DNA would have been altered from what they like.
Yeah, but that's what makes her previous clones make sense, you know? The clones that were like part alien, part human, and kind of weird where that part was super creepy when they found the different aliens. Okay, that's fine. But like
also,
that part makes
crazy
sense.
Thing at the end where Ron Perlman is just like, well, it was a waste of ammo. I don't get what the big deal was. Like, must have been a chick thing. I was like,
that was so not necessary.
I know, but it was like, oh,
it's perfect
like,
for the
here, lampshade. You know, like this is what Alien is about. Everybody, pay attention.
Exactly. But like, but what you're saying, her blood was already changing to the alien. So her other clones, that makes sense. But for them to clone a human being with their blood being different, fine. But then there's an alien growing inside of her, doesn't make any sense.
Spliced in frog DNA.
Jesus.
I don't know. I don't have the answers. It's weird.
And that really, because I think that's one of the things that bothered me about this movie is, instead of like with the earlier movies like Alien and Aliens, where they don't try to over-explain anything, no hand-holding, they try to put a little too much explanation, which led to, that doesn't make any sense. You know?
Oh no, there's a lot wrong with this movie. Like I'm super positive on it because it was just like goofy fun, but like that is a major thing. Like the explanations that major thing. The whole logistics of the cloning and the birth of the alien is somehow both over-explained and doesn't make sense. Like they spend a lot of time explaining it, but their explanation doesn't make sense. So they should have done neither.
So my thing is that, so you have a queen, so fine. You cloned her, you took a queen out of her, fine. Mm-hmm. She's popping out eggs, obviously. Mm-hmm. But then all of a sudden she magically has a human reproductive system to give birth. Mm-hmm. Who impregnated her if it's a human reproductive system? A. And B, what? Like, it's, what? Like, it doesn't make sense.
There's at least one shot where it looks like Ripley, like after she slides into the coil of aliens.
Yeah.
There's definitely some bedroom eyes to a black, slick something or other.
Yeah.
It is definitely Ripley's baby.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
So wait, you know what it might be? So there's that phenomenon or whatever, I'm not going to call it phenomenon, thing that is possible to happen where, like, if a pregnant woman has sex and she has a female baby, then there's a possibility if the, oh God, this sounds dirty, but like the baby could get pregnant or whatever.
Spend time on the Also, how does that fetuses don't have functioning?
I don't know. I read about it at some point in time. I don't know.
It's weird.
Learned. Okay, so my problem
weird alien universe fanfic that you're mixing up with reality.
It's totally. You know what? It's totally possible. Let's let that be. That is completely possible. I have no idea, but like, it just doesn't make any sense if, especially you've got this like weird doctor held like strapped into like a thing for like food for the alien queen. Yeah. And then it's pontificating about how, you've given it a gift, a human reproductive system. But I'm like, if you have a human reproductive system, somebody has to impregnate the alien. Yep. Who is that? This is my, like, did they siphon some material, I'm doing lots of air quotes, from like the doctor or something? Like, what? like, because they...
Sounds like you wanted a more Shape of Water-esque explanation about the mechanics.
Okay, I'm going to say this right now. Shape of Water is a bad movie.
You're wrong, but that's okay.
Oh my god, there's so many good things in that movie and I wanted to really like it, but at the end of the movie I was just like, that's stupid. That's all I thought. Okay.
It's because you don't have, that romantic spark.
Oh, that's mean, sir. That is mean.
So back to xenomorph fucking.
Yes.
The whole thing is gross and weird.
Yeah.
But it's that pink thing that comes out of it. The effect was really.
It's not even pink.
awkward.
It's like this weird pale white, beigey.
Yeah, it's got the nose.
The little
nose
the little
flap.
thing that,
It's gross. But it getting sucked out of a tiny hole in the glass.
Oh, it's
brutal.
Brutal. That is a brutal way to die.
If you're talking about terrible effects, the fact that watching it, I was like, holy shit, that's terrible. And the fact that it keeps occasionally flashing like human eyes with the human empathy, I was like, wow, they did that really well. But then the CGI skull that's the last thing before it gets pulled through, and you're just like, oh my god,
why are you ruining this?
Yeah.
That's the thing though. It's like there's so much wrong with this movie, but I still like it better than 3.
It's a delightful mess.
It's a delight.
Yeah.
Yes, I will accept.
Yeah.
I will accept that description for sure. Delightful mess. Yeah. Because even the whole Winona Ryder thing, where out of nowhere she's a super empathetic android who was what did they call her?
Second gen?
No, they called her something specific because she's actually an android built by other androids to be more human or whatever, and she's one of the few people that
right.
Because the Stefano called her a very specific name. She's like, I never thought I'd ever meet one. Oh my god, blah blah blah.
He's
blah
played
blah
by
blah.
the same guy who does Tuco in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, he is.
Mm-hmm.
He also plays a Marine in The Rock who gets killed. It's fine.
Oh, nice.
Yes. As soon as I saw him, I was like, hey, that's that guy from The Rock. I did not think about Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad.
Nice.
But wasn't he also in Not Clear and Present Danger, the other one? I'm pretty sure it was him.
Entirely possible. I probably wouldn't know.
But, okay.
No, but one thing that I really disliked about the movie, well, it's not even that I disliked it. I was just
it is Clear and Present Danger. Sorry.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. Is that Ripley is totally unsympathetic at any point except during to me at least, torching the cloning lab. That was the one time when she was a human character that I cared about. Mm-hmm. Every other time, I was just like, okay, she's a weird Frankenstein monster now, and that's fine, but I'm not concerned whether she gets away or not. Mm-hmm. She is a different thing now, and she's acting semi-animalistic in the first act, and then the second act is kind of all over the place, where she's a human sometimes, and a generic Amazon movie tough lady, tough chick stereotype in other times, and then whatever the hell happens in the third act. Mm-hmm. But I was just I'm not really interested in this character anymore, which is fine.
Yeah, she's uninteresting. She doesn't really, like you said, she doesn't really do anything. She doesn't really evolve. She doesn't really change. And one of the things they say about her in the movie is that she functions at a completely adult level. Oh, and man. She doesn't seem to. She seems to have her memories as an adult. And she seems to have some attitudes as an adult, but she seems to have a mental capacity of a small child. Personally, especially the weird basketball scene with Ron Pearlman, where he's kind of hitting on her and she's enjoying it, but she's like, you're like all of a sudden he's too much in her space and she retaliates, or this is my ball, you can't have my ball, I'm playing with this ball, you know, like it's that kind of like weird, what are you doing exactly? Or the hyperactive like mood change, like that scene for example with the clones and all that kind of stuff, she loses it but 5 seconds later she's cool as a cucumber. Or like the scene where, you know, her baby quote unquote is birthed, and then all of a sudden she's freaked out by it and she like scampers away like a small child. Like it's that weird kind of juxtaposition that's odd. Yeah, there's a lot of like, I find there's because this movie obviously doesn't take itself as seriously as number 3, it's a lot easier to take. Yeah. But there's still so many problems with it. Like absolutely so many problems with it. Yeah. I also think the acting in general is better, even though there's a lot of people that are not used as much as they should have been. I really feel sorry for the other girl that from the ship that dies. Oh yeah. Because remember when they're swimming through the thing and she's like frantic. Her boyfriend just died, who was the captain or whatever. She's distraught about that. And then 5 seconds later, she's got like 3 guns strapped to her and aliens are coming after her. She gets trapped up in it and she's like, that scene is just so frantic and claustrophobic. And like when they grab her and she's just screaming, I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
Also, they spend way too much time underwater, but that's fine.
They do spend way too much time underwater. They're like, it's what, it was like 90 feet or something like that. Yeah. And they've been swimming for like 10 minutes. I'm like, how are you holding your breath that long? Yeah. It's crazy. And I also, one of the other things that bothered me about this is it takes place 200 years later. Yeah. And the ship, and so our technology didn't evolve within 200 years. It looks still...
I don't know, like computers are pretty good. The Bible you can plug into now.
That is true, but this time it's father, not mother.
Okay, yeah, I noted that down as something that only came up in the 3rd act. That the computer's name was father.
No, the father thing starts right at the beginning.
Okay, good. Then I just missed it because I was like, that is a dumb thing to drop.
But that's the thing; they don't bring it up much, like because right at the beginning of the movie, when you are first introduced to the ship and they say father and you know it's the computer system, blah blah blah. But then it doesn't come back until like an hour and a half later. Yeah, and it's like, father, do this, and you're just like, what? Yeah, you know. So it's just unused.
But so they've advanced to the point where you can just shout at the computer from anywhere. Oh so like Star Trek, instead of like going into the room with the little blinky lights, and sitting down in the rotator
Wait,
chair.
no, didn't you have to like put in a code, pull out like a hard drive thing, then put it in, and then go into the other thing? Yeah. Yes, it was a whole sequence. Exactly. They've also gotten over smoking, apparently. That's one thing I noticed heavily in the first 2 movies. Like, there's a lot of smoking in those 2 movies.
Yeah, especially like when you think, like, they're in space. Oxygen's got to be at some kind of premium,
right? I like as soon as they get out of there, they're like, I'm lighten up. Like we're just gonna smoke like chimneys. I'm like, right. Really?
Like I think it really works in the first one because it adds to the like grimy working, like whatever, like we're just freaking smoking, we just have a job to do.
Yeah. In the second one it doesn't really work though.
Yeah.
Especially with the Sergeant Apone, he's got like his big cigar all the time.
Oh, I like that.
What are you doing?
No, I think that was more just like we have all these army tropes. So like
throw all of the army tropes in.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're supposed to be like Vietnam-y style Marines, and so like they got the classic thing where Vietnam soldiers always had their like pack of smokes in the netting in their helmet and stuff like that. True. So, yeah. Like, yeah, you're smoke okay them if you got them. Like, yeah, like it felt in genre for them all to be smoking in 2.
But again, all I was thinking is like, I mean, I'm assuming in space you're in a pressurized, oxygen-rich environment.
Clearly, they were not
dangerous, right?
The first time they set off a flamethrower, I think it seemed to worry a lot more than
they didn't set up a flamethrower on the ship. They set up the flamethrower.
They do in the first movie.
Oh my god, they do.
Yeah.
That's right. But they're also smoking the whole time.
No, so it's not an oxygen rich environment.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like a cigarette is like not very much, but when you're like firing off flamethrowers, you're like,
oh my god, yes.
Man.
And and the last thing for this movie is so they have the military vessel, the USS Aruga, crash into the Earth.
Yep.
At the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And I think that was Africa, if I remember correctly. And when it blew up, that explosion took
full on nuke.
It was a full. It took half of Africa. Like it blew up half of Africa. So they were trying to save everybody. They killed a whole lot of people down there, right?
I choose to believe the explosion was high in the ionosphere.
Okay.
And so at worst, they've got like a golden eye type situation where there's like an EMP blast.
Yeah.
But
everybody lives just fine.
I mean, probably there's like terror in cities as power systems fail, but like, you know,
everything's all right.
It's better than a queen of half alien, half human hybrids landing. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe, I suppose. I mean, you do have a woman who's half alien, half human landing on the planet.
Yeah, it's not a great thing.
No,
especially presumably she is a source of blood for additional clones of her.
That is very true.
Which, again, we don't know what the cloning mechanics are, but would new clones of her have the alien queen inside of her? We don't know.
There's not enough information to be able to tell. That is for sure. But at least we know at this point in time, Weyland is not in charge. It is just the government. So that's better?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not so much.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It is weird the flip flopping between like what the boogeyman is, right? Mm-hmm. Like so in the 80s it's the big evil corporation, and then in the 90s it's like, oh, it's big government. Yeah. Like, and then
where like this actually makes like the jump from the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 70s and 80s is a big corporation. They're like, oh, by the way, now it's the military government. Right. What up? Yeah.
And then like, not that they're any good or whatever, but like in the new ones, it's like Steve Jobs or like billionaire style like tech genius, which is the new boogeyman.
Who's the Google guy?
I think it is Weyland, isn't it? In one of them, in one of the two, either Prometheus or Covenant. Like it's the guy.
No, in Prometheus, it is Weyland who's on the ship and with his daughter. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So he's like a tech billionaire who's like trying to privately fund.
And he also wants to live forever. That was the other thing.
Yeah.
That was one of the points of him taking this trip. Because he believes it's going to prolong his life.
Yeah. Which, thanks to relativity, it would, but I don't think they have that in the Alien universe.
Yeah, but isn't I don't know what year that takes place, but isn't the singularity supposed to happen in like 2040? So then he could have uploaded himself into a computer anyways and become an entity.
They needed more shots of Michael Fassbender.
He did play a really creepy, he did a proper job as the android.
But he just kept, anyway. Prometheus, it's like he's programmed every 20 minutes to advance the plot. It's just a bunch of people doing nothing. And then every 20 minutes he just well, it's time to pull another switch or whatever. Anyway, not a good movie.
Yeah, there's... it's more than that. It makes it not a good... there's so much wrong with both those movies. Anyways, whatever. It goes back to my theory about stupid, smart people, which really frustrates me.
Well, to me, one of the main problems with it, the filmmaking is a whole other thing, but Alien, to me, is great because it's got a fully realized world. It's a simple but gripping story that's told well.
Mm-hmm.
But also it is like very clear about like its kind of underlying metaphors of what it's trying to say, and they're not super complicated or anything like that. It's this like terror and horror of this thing, and the more any series, but especially this series, gets up its own canon about just like, oh, we gotta expand the universe, I want to find out more about this, I want to find out more, it's like it gets away from the core of what made the story good, and it's just like, oh, well, there's an evil corporation, well, now it's an evil, government, and probably there's some comic book or novelization or like something talking about the intervening years and how the politics changed, and oh my god, who cares?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's about the characters and how they relate to each other, and that is so on the surface in the first movie, and then as they try to fill in more of the universe as the movies go along, the characters become less important, and they're like underlying interactions where we sympathize with them because we understand what they're going through disappears because they get into a world further from our own.
Yeah, well, I think that's why the second one actually works, where they build on the world without trying to really integrate new mythology into it, except for the fact that there's a queen. Like, they don't try to like tell you about the scientific part of it. They don't try to tell you about like you finally meet the company, but they don't try to tell you anything about the company. Right. They don't try to tell you about where they found the alien. They don't try to tell you they don't really tell you anything. All they do is put the same person in a different situation with the same alien, right? With some new people. Yeah. They don't try to expand on the mythology. Whereas like in 3 and 4, they sort of try to expand on the mythology of it. And you're just like, none of this is necessary. Just do it. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to say about it. I was really shocked. It's Joss Whedon wrote the 4th movie.
Though it's,
which kind of like blew my mind. I was like, wait, what? Like, I was, what?
Writer of the Avengers wrote this? No, but I don't know a ton about it, but apparently it was hacked to hell, and like he still retained his writer's credit, but like he's, as if I'm remembering my internet Googling correctly, he's like basically disowned the script and stuff like that. Like he was like, I had some ideas, but like they. But
this would also be one of his like earlier things as well. Like, I mean,
I know it would have been right before Buffy, or like right around when Buffy was starting up.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I understand it, but at the same time, I was still like, it doesn't feel like him at all. And I'm glad you looked it up, saying that it was hacked to hell and everything like that. So that also explains certain parts of it, but it also explains some of the humor that's in the movie as well.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So, I mean, I think overall, the Aliens movies are a classic for a reason still. I mean, you can skip 3. I mean, you can watch 4 if you feel like it, but you should definitely watch 1 and 2.
Yeah. I would like 4 is fun, but there are movies I would watch instead of it, unless you're interested in more alien specific stuff, right?
Exactly. Like, personally, I'd watch Alien vs. Predator over Alien 4.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't watch Requiem. Yeah. But yeah, like, I mean, I think they're still great.
Oh yeah.
I think they've aged pretty well.
Alien,
relatively.
I put it on. I'm right there. Like, I'm along for the ride. Bad effects, or whatever. Like, it's so good, and
you get over those bad effects really quickly, though.
Yeah, because everybody's acting like it, and at this point we're kind of past the point where like movies, if movies today have even like slight flaws in effects, like it's really noticeable. But back then, like, there's just a lot more. I at least have a lot more patience for crummier effects because they were doing practical effects with what they had. They couldn't just slap some CGI on.
No, but even but 90% of the effects in there are still great.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, absolutely. The ship looks amazing, both the outside shots, the inside shots, that first reveal of I think he's called the Navigator, or there's some name for him, but he's just a guy sitting in the chair.
Oh yes. That scene is that's amazing. Yes.
Like it's so incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like that whole sequence. Like I could watch the movie probably like 100 more times and still be in awe of it.
But that scene in general, like when they go into the alien ship and they're in this like huge cavernous space, it feels like you're in that space. It doesn't feel like it's a sound studio and like part of it's painted or whatever.
Yeah.
It looks and it still feels like you're in this cavernous space.
But it's going to be a painting, right? Or something?
Part of it has to be.
The external shots at least?
Yeah. Yeah. Part of it has to be. I mean, because you'll be building like 30 foot walls on each side and you're building the navigators, he was massive. Like they stood beside him and they looked like mice. Like it was huge, you know? So they must have done something like that. But yeah, like, I mean, I find those first two movies in general aged really quick, like really well.
Yeah.
The second two movies, not so much.
Well, it's because the storytelling is good, the characters are good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's great that the effects are good and they convey it, but also it's like the characters selling what they're seeing. Whereas, like, you know, you have some people who are like interacting with somebody covered in ping pong balls, and it's like not. Yeah, and they're not selling it as well. And that's not to say like, you know, I love modern CGI and stuff. It's great too. I love seeing things that could never have been realized before right now, and it's great. But it's just going back and like watching this, and it's just 7 people in a spaceship with a terrifying monster with acid blood.
With that. Well, I guess we'll leave it there because, I mean, what else can we say really without just talking about the movies beginning to end? Yeah. You know? So I guess that's it for this episode. I mean, unless you have anything else to say?
No.
I think you covered it.
I do, but like I don't, and that's fine.
Okay.
I could talk about different, just narrow aspects of the first film. Yeah. For probably a long time. Yeah. But that's fine. This is great. We had a chat about 4 crazy movies and this bizarre latex covered creature that joins them all together.
Yes, and that spans 260 years approximately. So, you know, it's all good. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming to do this again. Hopefully you'll be back for some other sci-fi classics, let's call them. Well, no, I guess I'll have Sean for the not quality ones.
There's plenty of sci-fi, I feel.
There's tons of sci-fi, yes. Yeah. So anyways, well, that's it for this episode of Off My Shelf. You can follow along on Instagram and Twitter at ohmyshelf, or you can send an email to ohmyshelf@gmail.com. Next time, I'm going to be trying something a little different to celebrate the holiday season. I'm sitting with a whole course of people to talk about Home Alone, Bad Santa, and all things that make the season bright. Hope you'll be here to listen.
I'll be there too.